The most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to me in my life just happened. This really cute guy just asked me out on a date. And I'm like, OMG, yeah, where? Let's go out tomorrow. And he's like, great, let's go out to this Italian place, I'm not gonna say the name. And I go, ew, honestly, I've been there before and their food was absolutely inedible. Like, it was disgusting. I don't even know how that place stays open. Their food is so bad. Can you please pick somewhere else? Anywhere else. And he goes, and I'm like, what? You don't want to go somewhere else? He's like, that's my family's restaurant. Are you kidding me?
This is the story of how I turned my entire class against a bully after only being in school for a week. 3 things you need to know about this story for it to make sense. First, I had just moved to this school and it was not the beginning of the year, so I was the new kid. Second, as part of my IEP, in order to entice me to behave better, if I behaved well, I could get a prize at the end of the day. And this prize could range from anything from a piece of candy to a small toy. And one of the prizes I could get was a scoop of popcorn in the popcorn jar. Basically what that was is there was this jar that sat on a shelf in the classroom, and if the teacher thought we did something really awesome, like everyone got A's on a test, she would take a little scoop and she would scoop up some popcorn kernels from a bag, and she would dump them into this jar, and when the jar filled with popcorn kernels, we got a popcorn party. And so being the new kid and wanting the other kids to like me, at the end of the day when they asked me what I wanted for my prize, I would say I wanted a scoop of popcorn in the popcorn jar, and the kids would just go fucking wild for it, and we were only 3 scoops away from a popcorn party when this happened. The third being, I was raised by 2 actors. My mother and father were both actors, and I spent a lot of my days at a theater. So I knew how to do things like stage fighting and stage fainting and crying on cue. Now that you know all that, let's get into the story. This whole thing started at recess. I was outside, minding my business, playing in the wood chips. I was making little fairy houses with wood chips because I hadn't made any friends to play with yet, so fairy houses it was. And this bitch Daria, who I had been warned to stay away from because nobody liked her because she had a reputation for being a bully, comes over and stands in front of me in my little fairy house of wood chips. And I registered there were shoes in front of my wood chip house, so I kind of looked up and I was like, oh, hi, what can I do for you? And this bitch leans down and goes, you should just go back to where you came from because nobody actually likes you and they all think you're really weird. They're only being nice to you because they want a popcorn party. You're not special. And I was just kind of oh. That's an opinion you have. Anything else I can do for you? No? Okay, I'm gonna go back to my wood chips. Thanks. And ignored her, and she just kind of walked away, feeling like she had accomplished something. But little did she know, I spent the entire rest of recess planning her demise. Social demise. I should clarify, social demise. I didn't kill her. I just made everybody like her a lot less than they had originally. But to know how I did that, you'll have to find out in part 2. Yeah, sorry. While 3-minute videos are substantially longer, they just simply aren't long enough to contain the entirety of my wrath. Anyways, Darius says that mean shit, and I'm like, that wasn't nice, and I go back to my wood chips, and I start plotting my revenge. Had I been any other kid, I might have just curled up and cried and accepted that I was weird and nobody would ever like me. But I had anger issues and far too much theater knowledge. So I didn't do that. I waited till there was about 5, maybe 10 minutes left of recess and got up and stuck my face in as many blooming plants as I could because I was allergic to pollen. And I wanted my face to be red and puffy, like I'd been crying. You see where this is going? Once I was nice and snotty, I went over and I grabbed some dirt and smeared it on my face. Then I reached up and fucked with my hair a bit. I was wearing these really cute pigtails that I decided to fuck with so it looked like my hair might have been pulled. And then I went over to the doors where the teachers were going to line up kids for, going in for recess. And I sat down and curled up against the doors and slumped my shoulders and just kind of looked down and looked sad and dejected. And as kids lined up and saw me looking pitiful, they were like, Adrian, what's wrong? What happened? Are you okay? And I was like, I'm fine. I'm fine. Nothing happened. I'm okay, guys. You don't need to worry about me. I'm okay. And we all went inside. And I made a beeline to my desk and went and sat down and slumped my shoulders. And then I quivered my lip and sniffled. And then I put my head down in my arms and cried. And suddenly all the kids in class were on red alert because who fucking made the kid who gets us popcorn parties cry? Who did it? And some of the girls from the class came over and were like, Adrian, what's wrong? Why are you crying? And I was like, I don't want to get anyone in trouble. And they're like, it's okay. Just tell us what happened. Nobody will be in trouble. And I was like, well, Daria said that I should just go back to where I came from because nobody actually likes me and you all think I'm weird and you're just being nice to me so that I'll get you a popcorn party because I'm not special. And they were like, she said, what? And if you have never seen 20 middle schoolers turn to glare at somebody, it is a fucking experience. It's terrifying. Two of the girls who had come over to figure out what was wrong started hugging me and consoling me and trying to make me feel better. Some of the guys in the class were like, wow, Daria, real classy, great. You're such a jerk. And then the other girls who had come over to figure out what was wrong originally went and got the teacher. They were like, Miss Teacher, Daria's bullying Adrian. And Daria got detention. And that was the first day I didn't get a scoop of popcorn for the popcorn jar because Daria had been mean to me and I don't want to reward her. So I went and got some candy. And kids gave her shit for it like all week because of it. And then most of the kids in our class just didn't want to hang out with her because she was mean to me and being mean to me jeopardized their popcorn party.
Story time about how I cheated on my husband, lied about getting pregnant, and left with all his money. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. Oh, this is gonna be a good one, you guys. A little background, my husband and I met 2 years ago. And lucky for me, he's a wealthy plastic surgeon. So a little backstory. I actually met him because I wanted to get a nose job. I made an appointment in his office and I went. We actually hit it off right away, even though he's older than me and, wasn't the best looking. After the appointment, I decided I would get the nose job. A few days later, I get a phone call. Guess who it is? It's the wealthy plastic surgeon who I just saw. He asked me out on a date and I said yes, of course. By the way, at the time I was a sugar baby, so I had a few sugar daddies. I figured he would just become another sugar daddy. He took me out to the best restaurant in town, and you better believe I ordered the most expensive thing on the menu. After my surgery, he would bring me food and was just really nice. Then he asked me to be his girlfriend and I decided to give him a chance. I even broke up with 2 sugar daddies to make space for him. That's when I asked my boyfriend for an allowance. He said of course. There's so much more to the story. So like I said in part 1, I had asked him for an allowance. Of course he said yes and offered me $3,000 a month. I accepted even though it was on the low end. By the way, I still had 1 sugar daddy at this time. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I was pretty obsessed with the Kardashians. My goal in life is to look like Kim K. So now that I had a plastic surgeon boyfriend, I decided to ask him what other surgeries he thinks I could do. I already had my nose job. Now I definitely wanted to do some other stuff on my body. But when I told him, he got really upset. He said I didn't need to change anything about me and that I needed to stop looking for attention from other men. That's when I told him that would be totally impossible and that I definitely was going to keep my other sugar daddy. He totally flips out because he didn't know I had a sugar daddy. Then he asked me if I was actually in love with him. I told him that love would grow eventually, but that I really did like him. Then he started playing hard to get, like he wanted me to apologize and beg him, but I was not the type. So we ended up not speaking for a few weeks. Eventually he comes over to my apartment and asks me what surgeries I want to get done. And back to the surgery table I went. But my plastic surgeon boyfriend decides to do more plastic surgery on me. But this time, it was free. We decided to get my bum done. Again, during the healing process, he was a total angel and brought me food and took care of me. Yeah, he was also paying for all of my bills and my rent at this time, even though I still had a sugar daddy. And he knew it. A few months passed and he asked me to go to Italy with him. Of course I said yes. We stayed at a beautiful place in Tuscany and then he asked me to marry him. He had planned out this whole romantic dinner and of course I had to say yes. But on one condition, that I let go of my last sugar daddy. So I told him I would, although I actually did not. So we started planning my dream wedding. We finally got married and I moved into his mansion. Then he told me that I had to get pregnant right away. His excuse is that he's in his 50s and he really wants to have kids. I said I wanted to have a baby too, but I kept taking the pill. I mean, I am just not ready to have kids or to ruin my beautiful body. This is when my other sugar daddy started getting really annoyed because I never spent time with him. It was really hard being torn between 2 men. So like I said, my sugar daddy was starting to get really annoyed at me because I never spent enough time with him. That's when I broke it to him that I was actually married. He totally flipped out, called me a user, cut me off, and blocked me from everything. So that meant I was not getting money from this sugar daddy at all. It meant I was totally dependent on my husband. Remember I said my husband wanted me to get pregnant? Well, I kept taking the pill because I didn't want to get pregnant, but my husband would ask me every single day how that was going. And I was like, it's going. I even started lying, saying that I was going to go to the baby doctor just to get myself checked, and I really wouldn't. Instead, I would go have lunch and shop. Around this time, an old sugar daddy of mine contacted me, who I still had a crush on. He was like super good looking. He offered me some money and asked me if I wanted to go on a few dates, so of course I said yes. yes. I accepted because I really wanted to just separate myself financially from my husband. I didn't want to be dependent on him all the time. So when my husband was at work, I would go out on dates with this new sugar daddy. The sugar daddy wanted me to go on a trip with him, and I had to say no. He got really upset and started asking questions. Of course, I didn't tell him that I was married, but he started getting really suspicious. He also started to catch feelings really quick. Like, he always wanted to be with me. He would text me all the time. And that's when my husband finds a text message from the sugar daddy. I basically denied everything, and I told him that I no longer had any sugar daddies, but my husband did not believe me. That's when he calls my sugar daddy from my phone and tells him to leave me alone. And the sugar daddy told him that only I could make that decision. So I basically had to cut off the sugar daddy right in front of my husband. My husband was like really angry at this time, so I was on my best behavior for the next few weeks. But after a few weeks, he was still really angry, so I realized I needed to start taking money out of the account that he gave me. So I started transferring money from his account to my account, and then from my account to another account at a different bank. And guess what? My husband did not notice one bit. He had several other accounts and investments and all this other stuff, so he never really noticed if anything went missing from that one account. After a few months, I had $50,000 in that bank account. I knew it wasn't enough, so I had to start taking more money out. And then a few months after that, I was at $120,000. I knew this was enough to get me a little house somewhere and just like basically live by myself. That's when I devised a whole plan. I would leave the country and buy myself a house. I even started looking for a real estate agent in other countries. But then the poo hit the fan. My husband found my pills and asked me if I was actually trying to get pregnant or not. Once again, I started lying, and I told him that of course I wanted to have a baby with him. Then he insisted we go to the doctor together. That's when he found out that I had not gone to the doctor once. He told me that if I didn't want kids, we would have to get a divorce, so I told him that I didn't want kids. That's when I told him I wanted a divorce and that I only wanted half of his stuff. He started laughing in my face and left. I knew I had to act quick because it was a matter of time before he found out I stole all that money. The very next day, I booked a flight and left. He started blowing up my phone, asking me where I was, calling me. Then he started threatening me for taking all the money in the bank account and that he hired private investigators to find me. Now I'm considering going back to him, but I honestly don't know what to do. I got myself a cute little house and even found a new sugar daddy. But I know he's still looking for me. What should I do, you guys? I think I really messed up, you guys.
Okay, so story time of the time I got revenge on a boy that did me dirty. Okay, so this was in junior year, so I was 16. And this white boy had started flirting with me in class, but not that that matters. But I wasn't really like thinking of him in that way, so I just kept like, But one day I was home and I was bored and I was like, you know what, maybe I should give this guy a chance. So I told him, I was like, meet me at Westgate. So for any people that live in Phoenix, you know where that is. So we meet at Westgate, right? And we're there just chilling, and I should have known to walk away when he called me the N-word with the hard R. That shit caught me so off guard. I looked at him, I was like, what the fuck? And you know what this boy said? He said, oh no, like I was just kidding. It's okay, my friend lets me say it. So I just turned to him and I was like, okay, well, I'm not your friend, so don't say it to me. Don't say it near me, please. Anyways, we ended up going to his house and we just made out, stuff, simple stuff, nothing nasty. But he went and told his friend at school that we did, and then they started telling everybody. So everybody was like, oh my gosh, you did the nasty. I was like, we did what? Sir, why are you lying on me? But I left it alone, like I really didn't care. Just because I don't talk to anybody at school, I really didn't give a fuck. But then he was trying to do the same thing to this girl, like this really nice girl, and he was starting to say some stuff about her. And I was like, no, I'm not fucking with this. So I had read this thing online that said that if you put Vicin in someone's drink, it works as a laxative. So guess what I did? I went and bought Vicin. So it was me, him, and the girl. We were assigned seats together, right? So he got up to go do something, and when he got up, first off, the thing said to only put a few drops. I squeezed half the bottle in the fucking drink. And you won't fucking believe what happened after that. The girl drank half of the fucking drink. And then he came back and drank the rest of it, which, I mean, he was the target, but the girl drank half of the drink with the laxative in it. I honestly don't know how it affected him because that was our second to last period. So maybe it hit him after we left school. But I know it affected the girl because literally right after that class, she had to go home early because her stomach was hurting so bad. And I felt so fucking bad. Like, I'm so sorry to that girl.
When I first came out as a lesbian to my dad, he was extremely supportive, maybe a little bit confused. He was like, mija, it looks like you threw me for a loop and now you are going to grow up to be a papi. Dad, that is not what that means. I know it was unforeseen, but it's cool because I was really running out of things to talk to you about. Very close to only communicating with you via pats on your back. Dad, I am not going to be a poppy. I'm just a girl who likes girls. If you don't want me to be confused, then why you got the same haircut as me? You know? Now we both look the same. I don't even know which one of us is the real poppy. Where's your mother, by the way? She told me she was going to a horse tornado. I don't even ask anymore. I believe she took the kids to a carousel at the mall today. Is that the horse tornado? I love that woman so much.
Okay, guys, something really crazy happened. So I went to the bar because I had to pee really hard. So I went to the toilet and I saw you have to pay for the toilet. I mean, like in 5 years, we will have to show IDs. Anyway, I'm sitting on the stairs looking in my bag for money. And there is a woman that comes to me and I say, hi, I'm looking. And she looked at me and she just said, okay. I look in my bag, but it takes some time to find the money because it's a woman bag. So I look and I already shit once in my pants. I look, I already shit twice in my pants. I look, I don't find the money. I already shit 34 times in my pants. Then I look at her and I'm say, excuse me, I really need to go. Can I give you the money after? I will give it, no problem. And she looked at me and she say, Miss Ma'am, I don't work here. I'm just waiting for you to go to the side of the stairs so I can go outside. And I shut my pants.